Welcome back to the Joseph Graham Show. Super stoked today. I have Rob. Oh, crap. I always say your last name wrong. How do I say your last name, Rob?
Well, it's not oh crap.
I have Rob. Oh, crap.
Oh crap. Rob Anspach. Yeah.
Rob Anspach. Now, you've been on the show before. You've wrote tons of books. I've been on your show a couple times. And we were talking before the show. We were like, you know what really sucks? The people that give you that $47 offer, and you know they got like 45 million upsells to get you the real offer, and they should just do the thing right from the start. And why do people do that? Who's teaching them? I know you
Yeah.
don't teach that, but who is teaching them this garbage?
No, and I started it was funny the other day. I got so upset with these people. They're I don't know if it's their whole uh marketing aspect that they've been taught this by some guru, but I don't want a $47 offer that goes to a tripwire, that goes to a funnel, good Lord, I don't want to be shown all that. And so I took everything that I have and I slapped it on a website with some brilliant copy. And I'm like, $100,000 to work with me, bottom line. And I put that up on LinkedIn and I swear I got like 30 likes. And one person goes, what? $100,000. And they're just going on and on. Have you tried this? Have you gotten anybody? I'm like, I just put it up.
Mhm.
And as I'm getting this pushback, I'm thinking, damn right it's worth it. This is what we need. We need honest. And here's the thing. You want to go out there and buy, let's use the automotive industry because people are buying $100,000 vehicles all day long.
Yep.
And then you get people who say, well, I can't afford that. I'll just buy this, $2,000 car that breaks down every 2 months. Look, you're going to spend money on a car. Get one that's going to last you 10 years, 100,000 bucks.
Yep.
Why can't we equate that to marketing? Why can't we equate that to stuff that's going to build our business? Why do we say, "Oh my God, it's an expense. It's an investment in your future."
Mhm.
And
But they
so,
don't look at it that way. That's the problem. What they look at it as, I want a good, quick, get rich thing. And this bozo told me I could spend $49 and he'd give me the secret to making $100,000 a month. Well, that bozo's making his month off of selling you $49. So who's the bozo? You are. And they don't have a track record. I think coaching in this industry right now, especially, I see people switching all the time. They were the spiritual coach. Now they're the AI coach. Before that, they were relationship coach. Before that, they were the Batman coach. I don't know what they were coaching. It's like they changed their coaching degrees by underwear.
yeah, and these kids getting out of, oh, I'm 3 seconds out of high school and now I'm a coach.
Mhm.
Dude, you're 17 years old. What in life are you going to teach me?
Yeah.
No.
That you're not. No.
No, granted, when I started my first business back in '89, maybe I was a little cocky. Maybe I thought I knew everything. I didn't know squat,
Mhm.
and that business didn't last more than a year. And then it took another 6 years. In 1995, I started my next business, which was in cleaning, carpet cleaning. And by 1998, I almost went bankrupt.
Mhm.
Why? Because my prices were too cheap. Went after the wrong type of clients. And those wrong clients had the filthiest carpet that took twice as long to clean. And I thought, wow, this sucks.
Mhm.
So,
Yep. Yep.
I out of desperation, sheer jet desperation, I went out to Phoenix, Arizona, met Joe Polish, Dan Kennedy, all these great marketers, and I turned things around. I
Mhm.
came back and doubled my prices, and then next year I doubled them again. And then that carpet cleaning business lasted 19 years before I sold it and went
Mhm.
full time into doing what I do now. Even though I started this company, Unspock Media, in 2001, it really didn't go full time until 2014.
Mhm. But
You
you
know?
know what I love there? You built your business, your brand, what you're doing, like our buddy Tony Watley.
Hmm.
I call you can call it the side hustle or whatever. You're testing and trying to the point where then you made enough and you could bet on yourself to move into the whole way. Not,
Hmm.
oh, let's burn the boats, which they
Yeah.
get that story so wrong anyway. Cortez burned the boats to screw his people. Because if he went back to Havana, he was dead. They weren't. So he burned the boats and screwed them. It was the least risky choice for him.
Hmm.
So the people selling you the pipe dream burn the boats for no reason when they don't even have a clue what they're talking about, are just trying to take money from you, not help you. So vet the people. Like you've been in business, you said 89 was when you first started. We're in 2025 now. That's a
But
long time.
I didn't become a full-time entrepreneur till 1995. So 30 years.
Mhm.
Yes, I ventured into being an entrepreneur earlier than that, but I've been a full-time, no safety net,
Mhm.
in the trenches, getting kicked in the nuts,
Yep.
entrepreneur for 30 years. And people are like, well, Rob, that's a long time. Yeah, it's a long time not to have a 401k, not to have, you know, uh, paid days off, not to have, an employer that has my back and is will. No, I'm that guy.
Yep.
And for people, so a lot of entrepreneurs, they can't even muster a couple years, and they got to go crawling back to a real job.
Mhm. Well, it's because they didn't look at it the same way. And also, I'm going to say this, you weren't just building your online career and trying to train people, you were building an actual business that helped people and learning real, true business instead of
Yeah,
just going to and trying to become a coach to train someone from the beginning. I
right.
do sales coaching because I've been in the trenches for 20 plus years doing sales with CEOs and CFOs of millions and billion-dollar companies. So I
Hmm.
have an expertise in that zone of genius. You have an expertise in marketing and business because you actually built a real one.
Right,
I know I'm going to piss off a lot of coaches here, but if you just have only owned the coaching business, you're a consultant. Own
right.
your shit.
Yeah, yeah. And it's, I don't have a degree in anything.
Hard work,
I went to
business.
college. I went to college, but I went to Penn State in 87 for engineering, which, when you're taking a class that's taught by a guy who works full time at Radio Shack, nah, I'm not sticking around for this.
No.
And then a couple of years later, I went back to community college to learn grammar or English writing, which, they were telling me, oh, Rob, you can't write like that. I got 60 books here that tells
Yep.
you I
Yep.
can write however I want. So, I've broken a lot of the rules over the
Mhm.
years. And I'm not afraid to take on more stuff, or
Mhm.
I'm not afraid to say no to a client. I'm not afraid to say yes. It just depends.
Mhm.
But here's the thing is, as you know, going back to having that cleaning business, I know a lot of people, when the phone rings, you're just happy to get a sale. But unless you understand that that client that's on that phone wants the cheapest price, is not the avatar you're looking for, learn to say no.
Mhm.
And for me, it got easier the more I said, "This is my ideal client." Oh, you live in the city where there's no parking? No, I can't help you. You know. Oh, you have your own driveway? Great. Yeah, that's a plus. Oh, and you have 2,000 square feet of carpet? Yeah, I'll be there all day. Oh yeah, that's great client. It's like you have to figure out who that ideal client is
Mhm.
right away. Because if you don't, you become a slave to the business that you thought was going to be your uh, fame and fortune, maybe,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know. Um,
You just gave
but
yourself a new job is all you
yeah,
did, and you
that's all you
can't say
did.
no. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that everybody that starts an entrepreneurial venture wants that fame and fortune. The problem is they're not willing to play the long game.
Mhm.
And, yeah, I've been doing this for 30 years, and maybe there's some people out there that'll get lucky and they'll get their fortune with the first year, and they can sell out, great, more power to you. But that's like lightning in a bottle.
Hmm.
That's like winning the lottery. It doesn't happen to everybody.
No.
So if you're not willing to play the long game, don't be an entrepreneur.
True, 100%. Like I've been in the game 4 years doing stuff outside of working in corporate America and stuff, but that took me a while to be like, okay, cool, I've done this. I've done, like I said, with credible actual processes. I know what I teach works.
Hmm.
And I love what you said though too. I raise my prices all the time because I don't want the bottom feeders. That
Right.
there's a market for bottom feeders if you want to be the $49 guy, but they're a headache. They're a pain. My clients that I charge 5, 10, 20,000 are way easier to deal with than my $49 ones or my $250 consult. And they want everything for free. And I'm like, we're just talking about this. I'm not giving you anything right now. You wanted to see if I could help you. This was not, I'm fixing this call for you. This is,
Right.
I'm helping you for a second to see if it's a good fit. I'm going to say yes or no. And then you can decide if my prices make sense to you because I know the value I bring. Like you've wrote, like you said, over 60 books. How many people do you know that's wrote over 60 books? I know you. I don't know anyone else that's wrote 60 books. I think
Well,
it's
and it
60.
was
I might be
funny
wrong.
because when my first book came out, which was all about social media, and at the time I was still full time in the carpet cleaning, and I thought, I'm having problems with social media. Let's write a book about social media because, this was 2013, 2014. I had been banned by Facebook already twice, and I'm like, and Facebook was still in its infancy. I thought I'm going to write something, and none of my books are complicated. They're very easy to read. Less than 2 hours, you're done, you're dusted, you can go about your day. So I wrote this book called Share, 27 ways to build your, I don't even remember what the title is anymore. It's been so long, but Share 27 ways to
Yep.
boost your social media business. But here's the thing: it's the easiest social media book you ever read, and I shopped it around to different publishers, and they wanted these thick things that bored the piss out of people. And I thought, no, I want to keep it simple. And so my own publishing company and distributed it, and right away I sold like 2,000 copies, and people were like, "This is great." I had a couple naysayers going, "Yeah, but you're just a carpet cleaner." Really? No, I'm a carpet cleaner who knows how to market, that created a book that's become a sensation,
Hmm.
and people wanted my help to write their books.
Hmm.
And I the next book was Optimize This, and basically I partnered with another carpet cleaner up in Winnipeg, and we created this book all about SEO. And from concept to creation to number one bestseller in 4 countries took 60 days.
Hmm.
I was like, I was in awe. I
Yeah.
mean, the process that we fast tracked this book, and I mean, we interviewed each other. I transcribed everything, wrote it down. He corrected some things. We got it out there, and it went number one in America and the UK and Australia and Japan. Japan, where they don't even, speak English.
Hmm.
And here's an English, and we're like, this is amazing. And from that point on, I was never short of clients.
Hmm.
People were like, hey, and so that I helped a weight loss doctor in Mexico with his books, and helped other people with their books, and I've helped lawyers and doctors. I mean, it's been a wild ride,
Hmm. But and it's
but
funny, you bet on yourself. That's the thing. What you did was you bet on yourself, and the publisher was like, "Oh, we need it to be 500 pages," and thinking like, "No, that's not my vision. That's not my plan. I'm just going to do it like an entrepreneur." And you took the risk, and it was a risk at the time, but you're 60 books in now that you've written, and all the other people you've helped. And I think that's a key lesson people need to understand. As an entrepreneur, as a business owner, that's what an entrepreneur is. You got to take the risk and be willing to bet on yourself. And if you fail, you just learn and grow.
well, one of my books, which I thought was pretty awesome back in 2015, I launched it. It was called Lessons from the Dojo: 101 Kick Butt Ways to Improve Your Life, Business, and Relationships. And every page was a new lesson. And I thought, this is going to be great. I loved the way it turned out. I loved the cover. Unfortunately, the week that I had under as the launch date for the book, my wife and I went to Italy for, during a church trip. Oh, the launch failed, and the book kind of fizzled
Hmm.
for probably 6 years until it got momentum again. But you know, I look at every book that I write as my new favorite because
Hmm.
it's the one I mean, every single book I put my heart and soul into. That a couple of my newest ones, the Marketing the Magic, behind the scenes business strategies from Walt Disney World. I've been to Disney so many times that if you go there with marketing eyes,
Hmm.
not just I want to ride all these rides and do but put your eyes into it. Disney World is like a master class in psychology and in consumer attitudes and
Hmm.
so I put it all in that book. And I've had people tell me that what's in that book is better than what they've learned from the Disney Institute themselves.
Hmm.
And to me and I just got for those who know Dan Kennedy, who was basically the godfather of direct response marketing, and who's responsible for a lot of people becoming copywriters. He sent me a note the other day, and it had Mickey Mouse on the front. And let's see, I had thought I had it here somewhere. I must have oh, here it is. Um, or was it? But anyway, the what I'm trying to go on about is that he took the time to read the book, to send me a testimonial, and it just made my day.
Yeah.
Because here's this guy that I've looked up to for a long time,
Hmm.
and he took the time to not only send me a note of how much he liked the book, but he gave me a testimonial that I could use to promote it if I wanted to.
Hmm.
And that was the greatest thing. And it's just I think we need to take more time as entrepreneurs to personally thank others.
Hmm.
I keep in front of me a, a shelf full of thank you cards that I've gotten over the years. People being on my podcast, got my book. I can only, there's probably less than 10 of them. We just don't do that anymore,
Hmm.
and I think that people appreciate that, especially
Oh,
when you
100%.
don't get a lot of mail anyway.
Yeah. Well, it's weird because like I've been on shows and I've gotten a couple thank yous for coming on shows. I'm like, holy crap. It's something I'm not great at for my
Right.
show. I'll 100% admit that I don't always remember to send out thank yous, but like the ones that do, or like people just randomly reaching out like on your birthday or stuff, it's like,
Mhm.
oh, wait a minute. They actually are paying attention. I'm not just a commodity to them. And you just gave another huge lesson in connecting with your ideal client or any person.
Yeah.
People want to be seen, heard, and loved and appreciated. And that letter cost you what? $2
Yeah.
to write, mail, and send out. But now you will always be forever grateful to Dan Kennedy. And that's someone that's huge in your life. Just like I was in Sims Distillery. I think you know who Steve
Yeah.
Sims is.
I was
And
that's how I mean I've been to Sims events
mhm,
in 2019 and 2021, and I
yeah,
I love Steve.
yeah,
He's a great guy. I mean, he's battling cancer right now, and
yeah,
and and it's hard to look at these images of him losing weight, and
yeah, yeah,
we're just you pray for him and you hope for the best, and but yeah, he created this coaching program called Sam's Distillery that a lot of people have signed
yeah.
up for.
Yeah, I was in it for a little bit and then I wasn't because again, life happens. I didn't like I think 6, 7 months, but they like sent me a note in an Apple Watch, just like it's the things that I will remember. And I'm still really good friends with Steve. It just again, sometimes I'm in groups and then I'm not. Like that's kind
Mhm.
of like any entrepreneur, any business. And I'm just sitting here going, this guy that didn't even really know me that much took time to send me something to say thank you compared to people that I thought I've impacted their lives so much. I've helped they don't do it. We've lost the art of kindness, compassion, and appreciation. And I
Mhm.
think you hit the nail on the head.
Well,
If
you know,
people do that, it's
it's
there.
and I know a lot of entrepreneurs have heard the phrase "know, like, and trust." It's kind of been drilled into our
Yeah.
heads ever since social media came about. But I've added a fourth element to that, and it's called feel safe. So know, like, trust, feel safe.
Hmm.
And I think, coming out of COVID, nobody felt safe with anybody. You know, mask up, mask down. And I don't want to get into that
Yeah.
politics of masks. I like to see someone smile, you know,
Hmm.
personally. I can't stand talking through a mask, but when someone comes to me and they have a mask on, it doesn't make me feel safer.
No.
Honestly, I know to some people maybe it does. Me personally, it doesn't. So everybody has their own definition of what makes them feel safe.
Hmm.
However, people want to feel safe before they will like, know, and trust you.
Yep.
And if someone says, you need to use Rob's services, he's just awesome. Referrals are great, testimonials are awesome, but that moment that person calls you based on a referral, they feel safe because that referral, they don't know you
Yep.
enough to even trust you. But they like the fact that so and so has already referred them. So they kind of like you, they feel safe, but now you have to prove to them that they can trust you.
Hmm.
So I've always catered to that, feel safe thing. Even when I had the cleaning business, I didn't know it at the time, but most of my clients, 85% of my clients I dealt with were women every
Hmm.
single day.
Yeah.
When I come to the door, I have to have a badge on. I have to have a uniform. I have to make them feel safe. So
Yep.
when they look out their peephole or their window, they can see my vans all labeled up. They can see that I have a uniform. I'm ready to answer all the questions. I'm not just some run-of-the-mill guy that's there to harm them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. And some of the things we talked about before, which might surprise people that make them feel safe, is letting them know what your prices are without trying to trick them, letting them know what you can do and what you can't do,
Mhm.
keeping firm on who's your ideal client and who's not. Because guess what? Now you have boundaries. If you have boundaries for your business, you'll have boundaries for their business and you'll take care of them. I
Right,
think people don't catch some of the things that we do that they're like, oh, you just want to get paid more money. I do want to get paid money because I'm valued at that level. But I also want to make sure you know what the clear customer journey is
right,
when you're in my world.
right. And here's the thing is that the cheaper the client, the more hassles involved.
Hmm.
And we can, yes, hypothetically, we could probably lower our prices. Here's the problem with low prices. I won't make enough money that I can take my family on vacation. I won't make enough money to put money in aside for, equipment repairs or advertising. So although you might want a cheap price and we all want to save money,
Hmm.
you know, also look at the fact that, most small businesses out there are already running on margins.
Yeah.
They got to pay their people. And so if their prices are too low, somebody's going to get shafted, whether
Hmm.
it be the employee, whether it be, somebody can't go on vacation, somebody is can't, you don't know. And this was my dilemma when I first started my cleaning business. I had left another cleaning company, very popular. Their prices were, twice as high as mine. And I thought, okay, my original slogan back in 1995 was, "We clean your carpet, not your wallet." I wanted people to understand that they're going to save a lot of money with me.
Hmm.
Oh, and they did. It's just I didn't really make anything, and I had equipment to pay for. I had all this other stuff, and I'm like, this is not even enough to pay my bills. What
Yeah.
am I thinking? Why am I doing this? I'm not the Walmart of cleaning.
No, no.
And I think that if you took that philosophy to whatever you're doing in life, you're not the Walmart of marketing. You're not the Walmart of plumbing. You know, Walmart does everything on scale
Hmm.
in such a way that you as a small business owner will never be able to compete on that line. So why? Okay? Put yourself above the Walmarts, above the Targets, above everything, and say, look, yes, my price is high because I have to justify paying my people a good wage. I have
Hmm.
to justify doing this, 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 and this. And if someone comes to you and say, look, I can find a better deal somewhere else, then tell them
Good.
to go find it.
Yep, yep, yep. I love Hermosi's response to that. I could charge more. I've used that before because here's the thing. Yes, I get that you think my price is high, but what is your objective? You want to have consistent months in sales, or you want to write a book that people be drawn to, or you want a marketing campaign that's going to draw people. What's the value of that to you? If I get you to a $12,000 a month, you paying me 12,000 to get you there, you pay 1 month and you get 12,000 every month after that. And I'm just making up hypothetical
Right.
numbers here. I always say that because someone said, Joe said on the podcast, yeah. When we get on a call with me, I'll find out what your goals are and we'll set stuff in motion to help you target and hit what you want.
Yeah.
But I think so many times you don't want to, you want to be the Neiman Marcus. You don't want
Yeah.
to be the Walmart. I want to help my client specialize to reach their goals, their dreams, their plans. So I'm not cheap. But what I did to get here is not cheap either. What you've done over the past 30 years was not cheap. You're shrinking time for them to help them build their business now. So yeah, you could buy
I
two
mean,
different type
and
of things. Yeah.
if anybody's out there watching and you read all of my books, maybe you'll have an inkling of who I am and what I can do for you. But the thing is, if you read all my books, maybe you don't need me. The problem is most people don't read, and that's sad.
Hmm.
They would just rather pay me to help them get to where. Look, this is why I put out books because I want people to read, right? But it's also my legacy. What am I leaving behind?
Hmm.
Because when I'm gone, at least you still have the books that you can refer back to. Maybe the social media and the SEO stuff is out of date already, but the other stuff is very highly relevant, and I think you're going to learn a lot of stuff.
Hmm.
But and I want to I want to kind of go back to my SEO book, The Optimize This. That was over a decade ago. It was 2014.
Hmm.
A lot of things have changed in the SEO world. And we all see this now with AI. But I want to tell everybody a secret. And once I tell you, it's not going to be a secret anymore. If you want to rank fast, then invest in either writing blogs or paying someone to do it for you. And not just one or two blogs a month. I want you to go serious. I want you to become, you know, like the Flash, the fastest man alive. Instead, you be the fastest blogger alive. You write 10 blogs a month. You get on video, you produce a whole bunch of video, and then you transcribe that and you add that back into your blogs. And when you do that type of guerrilla type blogging, here's what's going to happen. Not only is Google going to start ranking you better, but the AI is going to rank you faster.
Hmm.
But all that information needs to be consistent, not just on your blog, but it needs to be shared out to your socials. It needs to go to Facebook and LinkedIn, and but you have to answer all the questions. If let's say someone wants you want people to know more about you, okay? And I'm going to use myself as an example. Who is Rob Anspach? What does Rob Anspach stand for? What benefit can I use by hiring Rob Anspach? Does Rob Anspach do speaking? Yes. All these questions about you need to be blog posts
Hmm.
because if People are, going to Google and typing this stuff in. Guess where they're going first now? They're going to ChatGPT, or they're going to
Yep.
Perplexity, or they're going to Manus. And all this AI stuff is now scanning all the interwebs, and they're picking up all this information. And when they come upon that question, who is Rob? They're going to
Hmm.
type it in ChatGPT, and the AI needs to know that it's you that somebody's looking for. But here's the wild thing. See, on Google, Google has figured out, okay, well, we're going to monetize all this and run ads and do this and do this. And maybe the answer that someone's looking for about you is 2 pages down.
Hmm.
The AI is going to spit out one answer. Is it going to
Yep.
be you? Or is it
Hmm.
going to be somebody else with your name? And here's the thing is, yes, there might be a celebrity that has your name, but if you put out more content that's relevant and the AI picks that up, they're going to say you first, and then they might kick down below, oh, there's a musician named this, or there's
Hmm.
this. You control the output. So the more content that you put out that's referred back to you, that answers the who, what, where, when, why,
Hmm.
and maybe everything else, the AI is going to find you first.
Yep. I
And
love that.
so this is my big push right now is people come to me, Rob, I want to rank well on Google. Well, do you understand that Google's losing the foothold that they had on search?
Hmm.
And so
Because of AI.
they used to control 90%. Now it's down below 80%. And
Hmm.
now the first place that people go to is ChatGPT. When I was in Europe in October, I would walk past people, they're on their phones using ChatGPT to search their answers.
Yep. Dude,
You know,
my wife does it now. My wife is not in the business world. She's a stay-at-home mom, loves doing it. She gardens, she does all this stuff, but like she's on Chat GPT now doing stuff. The other thing that I've done and I've learned to do with it is you can program it. So when I do like my podcast or videos or shorts or different stuff, I'll drop the video in and say, this is my property. This is who I did. I produced this. And then I even tell it different stuff, and then it will let you tweak it. You can go online and say, well, tell me, it will tell you more about it. And you can give it points
hmm
on who you are, what you do, and you can actually right now gain bandwidth that you couldn't have done two
right.
years ago.
Yeah.
It's like crazy. Like it will
Yeah.
pull up
And,
my
and
podcast, it will pull up my name, it will pull up what I do, who I help, interesting, weird facts about me that I put in just to be a little quirky to catch someone's interest. Like I write sci-fi and fantasy epics sometimes, like just for fun. Nothing to do with my business, but I might catch a sci-fi nerd and then he's into business and I might get a client that way. It's
yeah.
just mind-boggling.
Yeah. And at first, I toyed around with AI and I thought, but the more I embraced it, the more I thought, this is going to be a Google killer.
Hmm.
I am convinced that Google is not going to be around much longer, you know. And people will say, well, Rob, that's crazy. Alphabet has a lot of money and they own Google and Chrome and this and that. And there'll be maybe. And I know even Google has embraced AI,
Hmm.
but at the rate that we're going, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Manus, all these other AIs are going to be where people search first.
Hmm. Copilot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, does Google even have an AI? Because I don't know the name of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I know they do.
That's the key, though. That's the key. Because when I say AI, I think of ChatGPT and I think of Copilot because a lot of companies I work with use Copilot because Microsoft lets you put it in a work mode and protect
Mhm.
things. So Google's losing that battle right now because of all the different ones. Gronk on
Yeah.
X, like there's so many different ones. If they don't step up, they're going to be the next blockbuster.
Yeah, and Facebook has one.
Yep.
And
LinkedIn
you know,
even has one.
yeah. So if your information is consistent across the board, all these AIs will start to pick it up, and that's what you want. You don't have to. The days of searching Google through oddball pages is over.
Hmm.
AI makes it so much simpler. Um, Now, granted, there are inconsistencies right now with AI because
Hmm.
they're merging people's information together because it doesn't know yet. And that's why you have to train it. You have to put out the content. And it's I think we're going back to the Wild Wild West when it comes to the internet,
Hmm.
but AI is making it more friendly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because you have YouTube, which is the second largest search engine, used to be, but
Yeah.
that's changing a little bit now too. Again, another point for entrepreneurs. We're on the cutting edge, but we have to be adaptable. We have to change with the times and figure out what we need to do. But it doesn't mean we don't go away from principles because guess what, Rob? We've been talking about AI, but neither one of us are saying we're AI experts and selling an AI course. We're just like, this is some of the stuff we used in our real business and real data to make things easier.
Well,
So,
and here the problem is that I will help you dominate AI just
mhm,
like I used to help people dominate Google. You know, we're adapting. We're adapting to new technology. The problem is that entrepreneurs, they don't want to write their blogs. They think it's too time consuming. It's this, it's the but here's the thing. Do you want to continue to spend money on Google ads? And I know lawyers that are spending upwards of $30,000 a month.
mhm.
$30,000. And yet, if they just put more time into letting people know the who, what, where, when, why, and just pumping out blogs all day long to train the AI on who they won't need to run Google ads
No.
because more and more people are searching AI, they'll find them.
Yeah, it would do it for you. And it's easy. Like you can even take one day a month and schedule everything out on Facebook for the month if you want. It'll
Yeah.
let you do it. Like
Hmm.
you can time block this and look like you're everywhere. It's just
Yeah.
being intentional and knowing what
I,
levers to pull. So
I
I
use
love
a
that.
service. I mean, I have a called Social Bee, and it I can put all my content in a
Hmm.
repository and tell it what days to put out stuff, and so it looks like I'm everywhere. It looks like I'm
Yep.
posting 100 times a day. I'm not,
Yep. I
not
have that.
physically.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm with you. I have that with my reels and all. It's like a video one. I think it's called Video AI, and then it got bought out, but it will distribute it everywhere. So you'll
Yeah.
see bunches of reels pop up during the day. And it's not like I'm going and popping them in at that moment. I've scheduled them.
No, and as entrepreneurs, we've learned to maximize our time.
Hmm.
And people are like, well, you seem to be everywhere and working everywhere. To be honest, I max out at about 4 or 5 hours a day. That's it.
Yeah.
And for someone who writes all these books, who produces content for other people, who writes their blogs, and I maximize my time to the point where when my 4 or 5 hours are done, I go do something else.
Yep. But you did an key there, and I'm only pointing these out because sometimes I think people miss it. I get more done in a 4 to 5 hour time frame than most people do in an 8 hour mess around and half-ass it day. That when I was in corporate America, I was able to leave at 1 o'clock half the time because I
Yeah,
was crushing my numbers so much. They're like, "Yeah, you go home. You just brought in 5,000 in recurring revenue for us today. We don't care what you do."
yeah.
When you get valuable enough, you can set your own metrics and your own time frames, but you just have to be intentionally focused.
Mhm.
I think that's the key. Because when I'm with my family, I'm with my family. When I'm doing this right here, I'm 100% present here. And I think that's a lost art as well.
Yeah, yeah, and but here's the little thing about me is that I hated English in high school. I I couldn't conjugate a verb to save my life. I mean, or conjugate a sentence, and I didn't know what verbs to use, and people were like, well, Rob, we don't care. We don't care about your past. You know, we don't care that you don't have a degree. We see the value that you're bringing to the table with all these books that you produce.
Mhm.
We want your help.
And the only way they know is if you tell them. You
Yeah,
can only control your inputs. How much are you producing? What is the quality of the content? And who is it directly set two, who's your ideal client? Because you don't want the people that aren't your client reading it anyway. They're going to just waste it. Like you
Yeah.
want it dialed in. So no, I love that. Where can people find you? Because they're going to ask at this point. They're like, why hasn't he told us this?
Well, you can go to my website, which is anspachmedia.com, Anspach media.com. Or, you can go to getrobsbooks.com. That takes you to my Amazon page, which you'll see the books that I've written or co-authored are there. But on unspotmedia.com, you go there, you click on, I have all kinds of stuff there, but you go to my book section and you'll see all the ones we've produced over the years. Well, I think there's a few missing because I ghost wrote them for other people
Mm-hmm.
that they're not there. But yeah, it's you know, as an entrepreneur, you have to learn to utilize the tools that are available to you. And AI is not to be feared. It's a tool.
Mm-hmm.
And like a carpenter that uses a hammer, he knows how to use that hammer.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't use the hammer to try to cut wood,
No,
you know?
no.
And I think that's the problem with some people is they get these tools because they're shiny objects
Mm-hmm.
and they use it once or they can't figure out how to use it. They want their money back, or they complain. Look, master the tool.
Yeah, and it takes longer than you think.
Right.
Learn that. It's always a long game because we mentioned that. As we land the plane, is there anything we missed that you wanted to talk about today?
I have this new series of books. They're consumer advocacy books. And I partnered with a buddy of mine, Brad Zollis, and we wrote what's called the Can Go to Hell series. And you might be thinking, oh, that's a provocative title, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's four books in this series. The first one was Debt Collectors Can Go to Hell. The next one was HOA Boards Can Go to Hell. And then Slumlords Can Go to Hell. And finally, the IRS Can Go to Hell. And people are like, well, Rob, why? Look, those four books, basically will help people fight back against the tyranny.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a debt collector that's coming after you. And I'm not telling you that to avoid your debt. What I'm trying to tell you is that there's things that you can do
Mm-hmm.
to get these debt collectors off your ass.
Yep.
The IRS. Sometimes you've made a mistake on your taxes, okay? And now the IRS is accusing you of all kinds of fraud. Wrong. Fight back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all these, like I said, all these books have templates in the back, which will guide you through, fighting back. And these are the types of books that I love to write because they're more evergreen.
Mm-hmm.
You can pick them up today, you pick them up 5 years from now, it's the same.
Yep.
They're going to help people out of a jam.
Yeah.
And HOA boards right now, you turn on any YouTube video, you turn on,
Mm-hmm.
and look at any paper nowadays, and there's always a story of some HOA board, stealing someone's home or fining them to death because their grass is a quarter inch too high.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't like people being bullied, and I'm going to help fight back. And so that's what these books are about. And so they're all on
Mm-hmm.
Amazon. And like I said, they're all under getrobsbooks.com, or you just go to Amazon, type my name in, you'll find them.
Yeah, I love
Um,
that. I do hope that the IRS book becomes outdated because the IRS is gone. That's my own personal libertarian hope. But besides that, the other three we're going to have. I'm just hoping the IRS gets to go away because I think they're pretty worthless. Um, and now I'm sure they'll come looking for me because I said that, but whatever. Uh,
well, and here's the thing is I'm not afraid of anybody.
no.
And I've been taught that over the years from my father, from my grandfather. Learn to stand up for what you believe. And so I'm taking all this wealth of knowledge and putting it into the books. People can read them, they can learn, and I don't want people to be fearful anymore. I want them to learn how to fight back and or even even my, marketing the magic behind the scenes strategies from Disney World. Learn to take the marketing that's around you and apply it to your own business.
Yeah, no, I love that. Rob, thank you for being on the show. And for all you listening, go check his books out, read, apply, and then when you get stuck, give him a call and he can help you through it because he's the one that wrote the book. Until next time, have an awesome day. Go break the rules and be the person you're supposed to be, not what society tries to hold you to.